Third Saturday of the college football season, and guys, this is the time that I've always found as 25 years as a handicapper, even longer as a gambler, that you've got to be cautious. You've got to tippy-toe through potential traps and landmines that are sitting out there for you. Let me give you a couple of examples. You know, two of the biggest factors I think that affect you in college football more so than any other sports when it comes to winning or losing here in Vegas is the letdown and the look-ahead situation. A letdown, let me give you a possible scenario. It would naturally be Michigan. After that huge fourth quarter rally against Notre Dame, the Wolverines should beat Eastern Michigan today by 35 points. Question is, will they cover that 29.5 point spread? How, after that phenomenal fourth quarter rally against Notre Dame, do you get up for playing Eastern Michigan today? And I'll talk more about that game in a moment. Then, of course, you have a letdown situation. How about Utah? Last week, its Pac-12 debut came this close to pulling the road upset at the Coliseum of USC, and you saw the wacky way that one finished. Well, now the Utes find themselves in Salt Lake City today for another edition of their annual Holy Land War with BYU, and BYU, of course, playing in revenge. So, can the Utes get up for this one and cover the 3.5 point number? That is going to be one of my free picks today, along with the games between Tennessee and Florida in the SEC and Temple and Penn State in Philadelphia in non-conference play. And I'm also going to give you some quick hits. I'm going to take a look at 6 other games that I have some opinions on and give you my perspective of those contests as well. Hi everyone, Al DeMarco here. In case you haven't figured it out, this is your Saturday video report. I also have a money-saving discount coupon code that will save you 15% off your total purchase today. All the details about that coming up as well in just a moment. Let's get now to the first free pick here, guys. I'm going to talk about the BYU-Utah game, okay? It goes at 9:15 Eastern Time. Now, you may recall last year, Utah, playing at home, rallied from a 13-0 deficit in the fourth quarter, won the game 17-16, didn't come close to covering as an 8.5 point chalk, but BYU was in position to maybe win the game outright after blowing the 13-0 lead, but their 42-yard field goal as time expired was blocked. Well, now you have Utah catching 3.5 points in Salt Lake. You have a Utah team that is 22-10 against the spread as a dog dating back to 2000, and the underdog has cashed 15 of the last 19 games in this series as well. But does that necessarily mean Utah is the way to go? I don't think so, guys. Listen, BYU acquitted itself quite nicely in a pair of tough non-conference road games to start the season. A 1-point win at Ole Miss and a 1-point loss last Saturday at Texas. This is BYU's home opener. I think they can get the job done, and I'm telling you guys, I don't know if Jordan Wynn can or can't throw effectively for Utah, but it sure seems that he hasn't recovered from those shoulder problems that ailed him late last season. I just didn't like the way he was throwing the ball. It didn't seem like he had any velocity on it. Watching him against USC, didn't seem like he could go deep or throw effectively to sideline receivers. So I'll go with BYU in this one, laying the 3.5 points. And you know what I'm going to say? Guys, if the line crosses 3, 4, 7, and sometimes 10, I encourage you to buy up or down the half point, depending on whether you're on the favorite or the underdog. It has made me more money and saved me more money, that philosophy, than any other thing in all my years of doing this, guys. Just look at last Saturday. Not only did I hit my 15-time opening game of the year play with Wisconsin, 35-0 over Oregon State, but here on the video report, I gave you 2 monstrous, easy blowout winners on Washington State and Oregon, but then I also told you South Carolina, a 3-point favorite at Georgia, would get the job done, but I would encourage you then to buy the half a point. Gamecocks win by 3. If you bought down, you picked up the win. I would do the same exact thing here with BYU today. Now, as for me, before I go any further with another free play, let me just tell you, today I have my 15-dime opening college blowout of the year. This is my third 15-dime best bet of the season. Now, the first one, as you know, 2 Saturdays ago, was a no play because I had Michigan, the game that was called with 1:07 to go in the third quarter against Western Michigan. Nice for the Wolverines. They got the win in the history books, but we didn't get the win in Vegas. That sucked. So I came right back and gave you Oregon last week with a game I liked every bit as much. Well, my opening blowout of the year play, guys. I've won this play 8 of the last 9 years. I've got a team here that could potentially find itself in a trap situation, but I don't think so. In fact, I think this team wins by at least 20 points today. That's how big of a blowout it's going to be. It's a 15-dime play, just like the 15-dimers in the NFL that I'm 40-25 with over the past 4 years, just like the 15-dimers in the NBA. I'm 26-11 with in the NBA the past 2 years, and again, it's a 15-dimer, just like Wisconsin, 35-0 over Oregon State last Saturday. That is my lone play on today's card. Let's get to another free pick, and then I'm going to give you that money-saving discount coupon code as well. Next game, SEC contest, 3:30 Eastern Time kickoff in the Swamp. Tennessee, a 9.5-point dog against Florida. And that's good enough for me. Because the Volunteers were 4-1 against the spread on the road last year. Tyler Bray, really unheralded quarterback in the SEC. One of the best as far as I'm concerned. 698 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions in the first 2 games of the season. Monstrous 405-yard, 5-touchdown performance in the 42-23 win over Cincinnati last week. Now, listen, Florida has beaten up a couple of cupcakes, Florida Atlantic and UAB, and Florida's done so by an 80-3 combined score. But the Gators are just 1-6 against the spread, their last 7 at home in the SEC. And, you know, I will admit, I will give you the fact that Tennessee's biggest issue today is going to be whether it can stop the ground game of Florida with Jeff Demps and Chris Rainey, because Tennessee certainly couldn't stop Isaiah Pead of Cincinnati last week, who had a 65-yard run and I think 150-some yards total in that game. But I still think this is too big of a number. Derek Dooley will have his team ready to go in here. I think this is a touchdown game, so you're giving me 9.5, and guys, I will absolutely take it. FYI, I want to tell you about another hot handicapper as well. You know, Trace Adams. Normally a 1,000-star play is his best bet selection. To give you some perspective, in the Super Bowl last year, he had a 2,000-star play on the Packers. He had 2,000-star plays on the Dallas Mavericks in games number 5 and 6 of the NBA playoffs, the finals. Today, he's raising the bar, second 2,500-star college football lock ever. His first one was Kansas outright over Northern Illinois. Great game last week, guys. 5.5-point underdog Jayhawks with a 9-yard touchdown pass, or a touchdown pass with 9 seconds to play in that game to pull out. I think it was a 45-42 win. Today, second ever 2,500-star play. That's from Trace Adams. If you had bet just $1 per unit that Trace has released over the past 3.5 months, you would have cleared over $15,000 already. So you might want to check out Trace Adams. And here's one thing you definitely want to put in your pocket, guys. Money-saving coupon code today. 15% off your total purchase. Now listen, before I even give you the code, let me just explain something. This is different than a $1 off coupon, okay? 15% off your total purchase. So that means you can't buy something now and come back 4 hours later and buy something then. The coupon's a one-time usage coupon. You want to put everything in your shopping cart at one time and then use this coupon code. And it's a real simple one, guys. 15 more. 15 more. M-O-R-E. No space between 15 and more. 15 more, and that'll save you 15% off your total purchase price. Let me just explain something a little further here. Guys like Chuck O'Brien, guys like Scott Delaney, who have won you an absolute fortune. We're talking $9,000, $10,000 since May and June, in all sports combined. Do you realize you could save 15% off, for example, their Super Bowl packages? In some cases, you would be saving an over $200 off the purchase. You're already going to be getting their plays for under $10 a day through the Super Bowl on February 5th of 2012. Here you can save 15% off that total purchase price. So you could save hundreds of dollars off a package of any handicapper, 30 days, 60 days, 100 days, whatever. It's your choice. Plus, you could save 15% off my play, 15% off Trace's play. Whatever you want to buy, you put it in the shopping cart, you use the coupon code, 15 more, you'll save 15% off your total purchase today only. Now, next game I want to talk about, guys, is going to be Temple and Penn State. This is one of those games where the Sharps got down on the Owls early in the week in Vegas when this line was 9.5 to 10 points. You see now it's a 7-point margin. But I say go ahead and play Temple in this one, noon Eastern Time kickoff, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. Listen, I know Penn State is 35-0-1 straight up in this series since 1941. I don't know what the hell happened in 1950 when they had the tie. I certainly wasn't around for the game. But listen, Temple's opened up strong, albeit against a couple of cupcakes, okay? Villanova 42-7, 41-7 over Akron last week. But Temple's gotten steady quarterback play so far this season, and they have a very strong ground game. Bernard Pierce, 297 yards rushing. Matt Brown, 118 yards rushing in relief. Defense, despite losing 2 starters to the pros in the first 2 rounds of the draft back in April, 11 sacks in 2 games already. Now, let's contrast that with Penn State. You know, Joe Paterno's got to make a decision sooner or later, whether he wants to go with Bolden or McGloin. Either, I don't care which one, but you know, as a combination, they struggled last week against Alabama. Okay, they struggled also, to be honest with you, in the 41-7 opening win against Indiana State for Penn State at home. Temple is on a 37-21 run as an underdog, getting points over the years, and they've covered 6 of their last 7 as a home dog as well. So I'm going to go with the Owls plus the 7. And this is another case, guys, I would buy Temple up to 7.5 in this contest. Once again, Temple, the final free play. Now, I want to give you some quick hits. When I do radio interviews, TV interviews, everybody always wants to know, what this game, or what do you like in that game? Well, here, I'm going to pick some of the marquee games on the board, and I'm going to give you my quick thoughts about it. Mentioned Michigan earlier, 29-point favorite over Eastern Michigan. Wolverines should win by 35. I think they will. I don't think they're going to let the rally against Notre Dame and that huge win last week deflate them here. Otherwise, you might as well bring Rich Rodriguez back and start losing the cupcakes every week. You know what I mean? Wolverines, last 4 in the series, they've won by an average of 33 points. Meanwhile, Eastern Michigan, last 9 times, it's gotten at least 20 points as a dog. Just 2 covers in those 9 games. How about Georgia Tech and Kansas? Remember early last season, Georgia Tech went to Lawrence, Kansas, laying 14 points, laid one of the biggest eggs of the college season a year ago, losing that game 28-25. While now, today, the Techsters return the favor at home. Paul Johnson seeking a little payback. And you know, Johnson is 4-1 against the spread in revenge. Versus the spread, while helming the Yellow Jackets here in Atlanta. Kansas just 6-10 against the spread. Its last 16 as a dog. And as I noted earlier, you know, Kansas needed to rally with a touchdown pass with 9 seconds to go beat Northern Illinois last week. And Northern Illinois' quarterback Chandler Harnish threw for 404 yards and 5 touchdowns in this game. He's a running, throwing threat. If he could do that, how's Kansas going to be able to stop Georgia Tech's triple option attack here playing at home? Washington State gave them to you last week, and you know, they have absolutely blown away Idaho and UNLV by a combined score 123 to 28 points the first 2 weeks of the season after their first 2-0 start in 6 years. Naturally, public perception is Washington State is a go-to team. Well, maybe on Sunday and Monday when Washington State was getting 6.5 points, but now the Cougars are only 5. Getting 5 at San Diego State, I'm sorry, I'd much rather go with the Aztecs. Aztecs go to Army last week, beat a decent Cadets team 23-20. Hey, you travel cross country, you went on the road, you get a little props from me. But they're getting no love in Vegas as far as I can tell, especially early in the week. So I say go ahead, take advantage of the line move, play San Diego State in this one. You know, they got a very good quarterback in Ryan Lindley, 175 yards per game, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions so far in 2 games. And Ronnie Hillman, 6.8 yards per carry. I like San Diego State in this one. Next one, how about Texas A&M, a 36-point favorite at home today against Idaho, an Idaho team that was down 14-3 to North Dakota State last week before rallying for the 44-14 win. Texas A&M should beat the hell out of Idaho today. The Aggies should easily cover this number at Kyle Field, where they've covered 12 of their last 15 games overall. They've also covered 8 of their last 11 as a home favorite. Only question you have to ask yourself here. The Aggies are coming off the bye. They beat up SMU 2 weeks ago, 46-14 on a Sunday. Coming off a bye, huge look-ahead game next week. Oklahoma State comes to College Station. Do they get the job done? I think so. Wouldn't put my money on it, though, but just telling you, I think Texas A&M is to play. Oklahoma, Florida State. How many times have I told you the marquee games are the hardest ones to get a handle? This is no exception. The line is at 3. Yeah, that's priced pretty damn fairly. I will tell you, as everybody knows, Florida State is seeking revenge after getting destroyed last year, 47-17 in Norman. You know, in that game, Landry Jones, phenomenal. 30 for 40 for 380 yards and 4 touchdown passes. But this game ain't in Norman. It's in Tallahassee. Interesting to note, not only are the Sooners 4-9 against the spread their last 13 outside of Norman, Oklahoma, but Landry Jones last year on the road, 13 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions, nothing to brag about. But listen, Florida State has beaten nobody. University of Louisiana Monroe, Charleston Southern. I don't even know what Charleston Southern is. I didn't even know they had a football team, for Christ's sake. Big deal. They won those games handily to 98-10. Oklahoma's coming off a bye, beat up Tulsa 47-14 in their opener 2 weeks ago. I like Oklahoma a little bit in this game. I'm going to watch it. I ain't going to bet it, but I'm just telling you, I think Oklahoma's to play. Finally, Everybody is on Notre Dame. They're a public team. Everybody knows the Irish better win this game. Everybody knows that Brian Kelly needs to win this game. You don't want to start 0-3 in your second year in South Bend. But the line is 5, guys. This is a 3-point game against Michigan State, one way or another. So you grab the points with Michigan State, and why not? They have absolutely owned this series, 11-2 and 1 ATS in the last 14 meetings in this series. Meanwhile, you know, the Irish, Golden Dome, touchdown Jesus, hasn't worked. Not against the odds makers. 8-20-3 against the spread their last 31. Line games at home, and as a home favorite the past couple of years, how about 2-8-2? Irish win it by a field goal. Michigan State gets the cover. That'll do it, guys. Remember that Money City discount coupon code, save 15% off your total purchase is going to be 15 more. 15 more. Good luck. Catch you again on Sunday morning.